Welcome to Blueprint Radio. I'm your host, Martin Williams. Here we help you create a blueprint for your life. So let's build. And welcome to Blueprint Radio. My name is Martin Williams. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. You may do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and SoundCloud. All the links to the podcast can be found at guidedexpressions.com/podcast with an S, or in the description box of wherever you are listening to this podcast. Today's podcast is Pressure Reveals the Process. Okay? So I've been reading, well, more to the point, listening to Tim Grover, right? So Tim Grover is a trainer. He's a trainer of high-performance athletes. He's worked with Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, Charles Barkley, and a host of other athletes, as well as high-performing entrepreneurs. And, he's really helped people with their mindset. So I read his first book, Relentless, last year, and it really helped me in my journey, not only as, just a man, a father, a husband, but also, in my coaching business and also in my, my 9-to-5 job as well. So one of the things that he talked about in that book was what the greats did to prepare to perform at high levels. And he talked about how Michael Jordan, rarely missed workouts, how Dwayne Wade would always do more than what was asked of him, coming back from really debilitating injuries. He really just talked about how Kobe Bryant played through a lot of ailments, things that never got better, but he just continued to persevere because he wanted to be great. And I think there's a great lesson in that, but that's not really the subject of what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is, what is your process, and are you perfecting the process on the way to whatever it is that you want? Because a lot of people, they want different things. They want more money. They want more success. They want more notoriety. You want more followers. You might be a social media influencer. You might want more listeners. You might want more sales, whatever it is. But are you perfecting the process along the way? Right? What are you doing to, and do you even have a process? Because if you don't, when pressure comes, everything tends to fall apart. And that's what I've experienced in my life, is that I was so focused on getting that I wasn't, I didn't have a process to begin with. And then when I got one, I wasn't perfecting it. Here's the secret. When people tell you to trust the process, what they're telling you is focus so much on your process that the goal becomes almost insignificant. It's not that we shouldn't have goals, and it's not that you shouldn't write your goals. I write my goals out on a daily basis. But when you are so tuned in to what your process is and focusing on that, the goal becomes smaller and smaller. And as it gets smaller, the easier it tends to go into your life. It tends to flow into your life, So I was listening to Bob Proctor, who's another author, speaker that I like to listen to consistently. There's about maybe 4 or 5 people that I listen to pretty much all the time. And he's one of them, right? So Bob talked about how, if you have a big goal, let's say you want to make $1 million, right? That you make the million small, right? You make it small. If you make $1 million like the biggest number in the world, it makes it harder and harder for you to get, because your mind is trying to wrap its arms around making $1 million, and it just seems impossible. And if it seems impossible, you won't pursue it, right? So whether it's $1 million or whether it's $100,000 a month, or whether it's, losing 100 pounds, whether it's, getting married at past an age where people say, oh, you can't find a good person at this age, whether it's buying a house for the first time, no matter what the goal is, if it seems too big, it's more than likely not going to happen, right? What the process does is that it makes the goal smaller. So when I'm pursuing something, I'm not so much focusing on the goal, because you focus on the goal. If you're focusing on having $1 million and you only got $1,000 in the bank, right? That $1 million seems a million miles away, right? But what about your process, right? Are you working on your craft? Are you perfecting your craft? Are you perfecting your accounting, taking care of money? Are you perfecting your work habits, right? Are you perfecting your focus and your concentration? Are you working on perfecting the type of person you are, so when the money comes, you're not a monster, right? A lot of people want $1 million, but quite frankly, if you gave them $1 million, they would become unbearable, because they're unbearable now with a fraction of that amount of money. So are you working on the things that you can work on while the money is making its way to you? And when you do that, and when that becomes your focal point in life, when that becomes the thing that you focus your energy on day in and day out, and I'm telling you now, it's not always easy to do, because life kind of goes on, right? And there's challenges, and sometimes the challenges, just like the waves, it's a high tide and there's a low tide. There's times when the challenges aren't so bad. I don't even want to use the term bad, but there's a time when the challenges aren't so numerous, and then there's a time when the challenges seem like they're unreal. As far as the number and the intensity of it. My point is, what are you doing to perfect your process on a daily basis? Do you have a daily practice? If you don't, I invite you to try mine. Because if you get on a daily practice, if you focus on doing certain things each and every day, if you focus on getting better each and every day, I'm not saying that things are going to turn around in 24 hours or 48 hours. I'm not saying necessarily that they'll turn around in a week. But, after a month or two, you're going to notice a difference. You're going to notice that, you know what? I got a better handle on my life. I got a better handle on what I'm doing. I have more clarity, right? And what happens as you continue to just focus in and hone in on that process. And I'm not saying don't have goals. Please have them. Please write them out every day. But once you write them out, you know what a lot of coaches say? Put them away, right? Write those goals out, put them in a drawer somewhere. Write those goals out, close the notebook, and get to work. Because if you're focusing on that goal exclusively, instead of your process, instead of your practice, that goal, again, it's going to seem so big, and it's like, yeah, when am I ever going to get there? And then you get frustrated, you get discouraged, and then all of a sudden, you're kind of back where you started. And a lot of people go through this cycle over and over again. So if you're trying to, do anything, I don't care if it's make more money, I don't care if it's lose weight, I don't care if it's, get some certain health numbers down, like I said, buy that house, maybe meet someone, whatever it is, write that goal out, but then focus on yourself, focus on your practice, and start perfecting that practice on a daily basis. And as you do that, the goal will become smaller, it'll become more attainable in your mind, and before you know it, it's knocking on the door. Before you know it, it's showing up. Before you know it, there's an opportunity there, and it'll just be up to you to take advantage of it. So, in reference to the title of the podcast, what happens is that the pressure of life reveals your process, right? Pressure can build up, and when you get to a point where it just seems so unbearable, again, what's your process? What are you leaning on, right? Do you have a prayer practice? Do you have a practice where you're praying every day? Do you have a practice where you're reading something positive, whether it's the Bible or, some sort of uplifting type of, text? Are you reading something every day? Are you meditating daily? Are you, telling the people around you that you love them? Are you telling yourself that, hey, you can make it? Are you encouraging yourself, right? How's your self-talk? How is your mindset as opposed to what you're facing, right? These are all part of your process. And if you don't have that process in place, the problem is that when those waves and that storm comes, it's going to reveal what kind of process you have. When these hurricanes, come to these different cities and these different states, the houses that are built on sound foundations and the houses that were designed to outlast those storms, those are the ones that are usually left standing. The houses that don't have much of a foundation, don't have the necessary building, they weren't built to the code that it needed to be built to, those are the ones that get washed away, right? You've got to understand that storms are going to come to everybody. What is your process? What is your practice? And if you don't have one, start today to build it, and build it to a point where no matter what happens, you adhere to it, you stick to it, and you'll be able to withstand the storm. And then when the storm goes away, you can build even more. You can build on it and, get to a point where you're achieving at a level that you never thought was possible before. So that is all my time for today. My name is Martin Williams. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for listening to Blueprint Radio. For more information on Martin Williams coaching and products, please go to guidedexpressions.com or visit me on Facebook as well as Instagram.